Good afternoon and welcome to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch with my glorious co-hosts Judy Loge and Veronique Arsenault.
I love glorious.
I've never been called glorious.
I had to change it up.
That's cute.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Have a Chat today to all of our viewers. It's another Monday here in Miramichi, and we're all set with a great, fabulous show all set up for our viewers today. I'm sort of
We
excited.
like Mondays. We fake it. I love Mondays. Not.
I'm okay
We
with
do.
it.
we sort of do. This is
you?
one thing I look forward to on Monday.
That's true,
Okay.
me too.
Other than the normal other stuff that I don't look so much
Gets
forward
us
to.
going for the week.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to start off our show like we always do with a thought of the day, and I believe, Judy, you're up.
Quick thought.
Quick thought?
Beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself. Coco Chanel.
Yes.
It's so true.
It is.
Don't you
It
find
is.
sometimes
Exactly.
people try to
Yep.
be something they're not?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
it's great to emulate somebody that has a
Yes.
lot going for them, but if you're trying to be that person, don't try.
No.
Because
No.
you're unique in who you are.
No, exactly.
And even the quirks and little faults that people have, that's what makes them special.
That's right.
yeah.
We're all
So
unique,
true.
right? We've all got our own little thing that makes us different.
That's right.
And
it
nobody's
makes you
perfect.
beautiful.
And so, like, if someone's out there trying to find the perfect human being, they're not going to find that.
Oh gosh, no.
No.
But
So-
really, they don't have to look any further than here.
Glorious selves.
But it takes three of us to make that one picture.
One perfect woman there. We are it here. All together, we make a perfect woman.
If
Yes,
you be yourself,
exactly.
the beauty will come through. That's the
That's
thought.
true.
I
That's
agree.
true. So
I
it was a busy weekend for all of us on the
Busy, busy,
weekend.
busy.
Was it ever?
There was a number of things that were going on. Now, you were away.
I had a trip for a week with my husband alone again. It's great when the kids are gone. Not that we don't miss them.
No.
No.
My oldest son's in Costa
Right.
Rica right now with his med class, a lot of
Oh,
them,
neat.
and he
Ooh,
arrived
nice.
safely yesterday. He's
Nice,
on
nice,
holidays.
nice.
So that's nice. And so we've decided to take travel time by ourselves.
Good for
and
you.
we went to Las Vegas and we did 4 shows, and it was 90 degrees.
Was
And
it?
You did them?
No, I didn't do them. I could have been in them, some of them, I think. They were
Yeah.
so much fun, I wanted to be. But actually, we went to Menopause the Musical.
Okay.
And who I got called up on stage with some other women from the audience was Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
Love it.
She was
That's insane.
Shirley. And so they did a fantastic musical. It was called Menopause, about all the change, and it was simply crazy funny.
And you got Gerard to go to this?
Well, it was a lot of men there too.
Oh, there was.
Because it was showing how to live with women that are going through
But
menopause,
Gerard's
right?
a really
Okay.
good sport.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he'll go to pretty much anything.
And as a physician, he knows the signs
That's
of
right.
what women go through. So they were
This is true. He is a little more aware.
Yeah. So anyway, then at the end, one of the actresses dragged me up, and we did the can on stage.
Oh, good
And
for you. You
it was
performed.
fun. Me and Cindy Williams together holding hands, and I mean, I used to watch her in the 70s.
Well, yeah, of course.
Or 80s.
We'll have
whatever.
to see the pictures or the video.
Yeah, he
of
did
that.
a video.
Oh, you're kidding.
We'll have to get the video.
Yeah, maybe it'll go viral.
Maybe so. So we saw
I think
a
it
few. We
should.
saw another Cirque du Soleil and Rod Stewart, who
Oh, I love Rod Stewart.
who said he's a friend of Trump's, but he said, Trump, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
He did.
Good.
No.
Yeah.
We were busy on the weekend too.
Yes.
We went to a fantastic dinner put on by the CNIB.
Yes.
You hosted?
I was
She
the MC.
hosted.
Yes, I
Hostess
was.
with the
Dining
mostest?
in the
Yes,
dark.
I love. You know what? I love Dining in the Dark. It's a fantastic event every year, and what's really unique about the Dining in the Dark here in Miramichi is that Super Value donates all the food.
Sure.
The Lions cook all the food and serve all the food, and then all of the items that are there for silent auction are all donated. So they make
That's right.
an incredible amount of money.
Because
Yeah.
everything's donated.
The
Yes,
take home, like the profit margin is
Yeah.
really, really great.
Whereas
for
that
this
doesn't
event.
happen in other cities.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it was a wonderful event. I think there was just about 150 people there, which is a
Beautiful.
Yes.
great turnout.
Yes.
And this year, Amanda Downey was the guest speaker.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a dinner I had to go to and I missed out. But
Yes,
tell me
you
then.
did.
So she was a
It
guest
was.
speaker.
She was. She did really well. I know Amanda and Mark because they opened up their new
Yes.
family business of River City Fitness just down the road from where I live.
Yeah.
And she's a photographer, 2 small children,
Wow.
and she had talked a little bit about how she was noticing some flickering and flashing in her eyes and didn't think too much of it at first, but it turns out that it was something extremely serious.
Her retina
And
detached.
and she's very young. And it's
She
like,
is.
Well, we won't
Yeah.
give an age, but she's a young woman.
At Christmas time is when she got the
know.
call for the surgery,
Yeah.
and she had to get down there like ASAP. And
Had to go to
everything else like
Halifax,
that.
yeah.
She was one lucky lady.
Yeah, and she had a really neat perspective on it all, and she said it was hard. You know, it was hard to ask for help. It was hard to be dependent, but they got through it. It was much more serious when they actually got in there and did the surgery, but she came through it, and she's very thankful because she came very close to losing her eyesight.
Oh my heavens!
Yeah, exactly.
They always have
That's just
exceptional
it.
guest speakers.
They do each and every year.
Well, I was fortunate enough this year to when I sat down at the table, didn't realize it at first, but the lady that I ended up sitting next to was totally blind. Kate Fair, lovely, lovely woman. So I got to hear a little bit more. Besides getting up and speaking and telling a little bit of her story, I was able to sit next to her and ask way more questions than anybody else in the room.
Yeah.
And ask her how she's coping and the struggles that she went through with the loss of her marriage over the disability and things like that. Like there's just so much more to it than you realize. She lost her sight to a traffic accident.
Not a scratch on her face, she said.
Not a mark on her body.
Aww.
Little mark on her head, she said. And but
What age
it was,
group?
I believe she was in her she said 44 when it happened.
Yeah.
And her youngest child, I think, was 11 at the time. So, and her struggles and watching her as she was eating and stuff like that.
We
and
learned so much.
Well, I
That's
know.
very
That's just it.
incredible.
It's amazing
Give that
and
an
incredible. She was talking about at home. She doesn't have lights on at home. Her electric bill must be amazing.
Yeah.
She has no reason to turn a
huge
light
thing.
on.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being
No.
blind.
No,
I just
that's just it.
can't. So.
But it's such
Very
a unique
inspirational.
experience that night because you actually do for just a minute, get to experience what it's like to live with
blindness.
with vision loss. But actually, the vision specialist, Lynn Fraser Goodwin, showed us an app on our phone that you can simulate what it's like to lose your vision to four different conditions. It's called the Eye Simulator from CNIB, and I would encourage anybody out there to download it and give it a try because it just kind of gives you
It's really neat.
a feeling of what it's like.
What it's like to live in those shoes.
Because most of us are looking through our cell phones, and I was amazed to find out that Kate uses a tablet.
Yeah.
There is a way that she uses her iPad and tablet.
Incredible.
But the eye simulator, like, because you're looking at your phone, even when you have your camera on, it literally, the screen that comes up gives you the feel of what it's like to look through their eyes
That's
for
pretty
all the
amazing.
different
Yeah.
conditions.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, you should really.
You
'cause
should
it was
download it, check it out, and have an
it was
idea of what it's
eye-opening.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. No
But
pun intended.
but we a great crowd. We had a great time.
Good.
Yeah, 6th
Great.
annual, so it was really
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Lots going on around the world as well,
Of
I'm
course,
afraid. There
of
was
course.
attacks in London
Again.
again.
I'm afraid, it's really funny.
What's with London, though?
When we were coming from Vegas, we were on the plane, and it's so weird. I said to my husband, you know where I really, really want to go the next trip? London. And he said, that would be nice because Meatloaf has just put out the new musical, Bat Out of Hell.
Yes.
And I wanted to go because I love musicals
Yes.
and I love theater.
We know the words to all those songs.
Yes, we
That's
do.
why We
Yeah,
come
we
from
do.
that era.
We
do.
do. So they put it out, and I said, wouldn't you love to go to London? We're not going to London.
No.
There's too much terror alert over there, and we've just
No.
had 4 more deaths.
I know.
No.
Well, and it's funny because my auntie, your sister-in-law, just about a month ago was planning a trip, and she said,
Oh, was it?
Yeah, she said, well, she wanted to go to Paris, and her boy, who is now in grade 11 or 12, he said, I don't want to go.
No.
I don't want to go. So they're in Ireland right now.
Okay.
And London and Paris were 2 of the ones that
I'm
he just
terrified.
wasn't.
No,
And it's sad because they're both incredible cities.
They are.
They're beautiful,
Beautiful.
and the history and
Yeah.
Well, the
but-
type of attack really, really shocked
That
me
was
this time.
unbelievable.
Jump in your car and drive along a sidewalk, taking out pedestrians. I'm like,
And I've
It
walked
just-
along that Westminster Abbey
right.
many times. It's an iconic bridge,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
no. So it just goes to show their mentality is not like you can't just watch for like guns. They'll use whatever or anything. Like it's really scary.
and they're accomplishing exactly what they're trying to, which is like now
Attention.
you don't want to go to London.
No, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
to
Right?
I'm not
Yeah.
going to
Like
London.
that's exactly
Yeah.
what they want.
That's what they
That's what
want
they
for
want.
and I
theater
don't want to go
people.
either, and I hate that
No.
feeling
I know.
because I've been and I love it,
Yeah.
and it's
Look
beautiful.
at the
Well, see,
attacks
I have
they've
a
had.
trip coming up planned, and I'm not going to lie, it still makes me a bit wary about traveling. I'm sort of thankful I have a direct flight and I don't have to stop in the U.S. And that's not a nice thing to have to say or whatever, because I love stopping in the U.S. Done many flights where I stopped in Philly.
Yeah.
Love checking, that
Yeah.
out before going on the next stop.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of thankful
Leery.
that I have a direct flight. But
Yes.
I'm still leery that when I get on the plane, I look around to
I
see
do
who's
too.
all on there with
No,
me.
you'll be
But you know what's
fine.
amazing though? You know what's amazing is that we haven't talked about Trump for a long time.
No.
For very good reason. 'Cause
Right.
we don't want to.
Yep.
But what's amazing though is that everyday people are kind of shutting down Trump's fear and
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. Like in the States now, over the just at the end of last week, they had a historic vote where they actually voted down his repeal of
Good,
Obamacare.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Supreme Court upheld, his to refuse the travel ban that he had put in place.
That's right.
And then he had tried to say that Obama had wiretapped him
Yeah,
while
there's
he
a
was
lot
a
of
candidate.
delusional
And
aspects to
he
his
had
mind.
to kind of back away from that because there's absolutely no evidence of
Evidence.
No,
that.
he's not. He has to
Nothing.
retract all
So
that.
there's people are standing up to him,
Yeah.
which is
30%
wonderful.
of his own party don't want the new
Yeah.
healthcare plan.
Exactly.
No,
And there was
so that
nothing
speaks
really-
volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
So, and it
is
was
he's
voted
trying to
down,
do.
which is great.
Yeah.
It put a stop to
And
it.
Obamacare had a lot of good things about
Yes.
it as far as like the benefits for people, like any
Exactly.
business that employs
Yeah.
over 50 people
Yeah.
had health benefits. And if you had a health care plan, your child could be on your health care plan until the age of 26.
Yep.
So there were a
Right.
lot of great things about Obamacare. There were a lot of things that maybe weren't so great, but a lot of it, should be there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
just
But,
it.
and I did
No.
meant to see Westminster Bridge, not Westminster Abbey. It was
Okay. Exactly.
Westminster Bridge in London that the guy.
Something historical happening July 1st,
2018.
2018?
Yeah.
Okay. Pot is going to be legalized in the U.S.? Is that the plan?
No, in Canada.
Oh, in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're talking about it now.
Okay.
They're saying they're going to make the announcement in the next couple of weeks. That is the rumor that's out there. It was on, I think, CBC. I read it on today.
Okay.
But yeah, that was one of the things that our Prime Minister ran on
Okay.
in his platform.
Right.
Was the legalization of pot in Canada.
Yeah.
So they're saying July 1st, 2018.
Yeah. I'm still worried. I'm still skeptical about how they're going to be able to regulate
I know.
and keep track and
Well,
just
and
not
my-
have it get out of hand.
Well, it's like liquor though. Like, liquor's legal, right?
True.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's regulated.
And
And
it's
that's
regulated.
my big thing about legalizing pot is that the pot that is on the street now is not the pot that
We're
was on the
talking
street when I
about.
was a kid, right?
Oh, okay. True,
And
true,
so and that pot has evolved so much and not in a good way. There's so many
No.
things
True.
that people are adding to it
it.
now that my
Yeah.
Scary.
my own feelings.
Yeah.
And,
You don't know what you're getting.
No, and my own feelings are that if they're going to legalize it and regulate it, then it will be safer.
Okay, but everyone's going to be able to walk around the streets with it, like a cigarette?
You can't walk around drinking
no,
liquor.
You can't.
You
You're
can
not
in
allowed to have
Vegas.
open liquor.
You can in
yeah, but
Vegas.
Vegas is
you
in
can.
Canada,
You can
though.
Smoke joints in Vegas. I'm
Yeah.
like,
But Vegas isn't in
no.
Canada.
You can carry a
But
gun in
I
Vegas,
know.
too.
Thank God we're not going to be in that
No.
situation. But it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable that they can do
No,
that.
no open liquor. I would think that the regulations would be very
It's the same,
similar
yeah.
to, if not stricter than,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Kind of thing than the
I
alcohol.
can't
but
get
we'll
past
see.
the smell of it. Sorry.
We'll see.
No.
Oh yeah,
I
that's,
can't.
that's
No.
the other thing, because I mean you can't light up a cigarette now.
No,
in
exactly,
public,
right? So
what
all
would
of those
be the difference?
all of those things stay in place, right? Because
Right.
because there's tobacco as well that's
Right.
mixed in with the pot.
Right.
So you can't light up
No.
in a park, you can't light up in a restaurant,
good.
you can't
That's good.
right? So I mean
No.
all of those things still
Restrictions are gonna be there.
There's going to
Yeah.
be a lot
There
of
is.
restrictions.
Good.
And you know what? We'll make the tax money off it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, it's going to bring in some
Okay.
definite money from it.
Have you ever traveled or been in a large enough mall that you've ever experienced an escalator?
I
Yes.
have been in big malls.
I have. It's been years. I will say they terrify me just on their own when they're working properly. But in Hong Kong, there was a huge incident where the escalator that was traveling up all of a sudden reversed and started coming back down quicker than
Yeah.
it was going up.
Yes.
And 18 people were
Yes.
injured.
Well, they'll
one
all be
man
trampling
severely.
over each other, trying to fall over each other.
Right? How do you
Piling
like
right up.
I have had an experience where, like, the stroller, the baby stroller, is actually the wheels have stuck on it. They traumatized me too.
Yeah.
Do. They scare me because even in lately, what it would have been was an airport where they just have the moving sidewalk.
Yes, yeah.
I don't mind
I
that.
love those.
Me
Those-
too. Get
I
They're
love
there.
them.
sort
It
of
helps
fun,
you
but
out.
they still throw me off. But just coming down or going up on an escalator, I jump that last step.
I'm
because
scared.
when I
Do
see the
you
teeth,
really?
I do. I'm afraid
I'm
that
nervous.
for some reason I'll get caught in the teeth going down back in where the escalator goes.
My fear is actually stepping onto the down escalator.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So when I used to work at a mall in Ottawa, I was a beauty advisor for a cosmetic company. And my counter was right at the bottom of the escalator. And our mall was really catered to seniors. And I was a first responder for our store. So anytime there was a medical emergency, the call would go out. So our counter was right at the bottom of the escalator. We had so many seniors
Yes.
come tumbling down those escalators that I developed a fear of them.
No wonder.
You know,
Yeah.
and so my problem is always, and I'm the same with stairs, I'll be honest, is stepping onto the first step is I get really So I almost go stairs that I'm not comfortable with. I go down sideways. So I'll step down, step down, step down, right? As opposed to, you know, one foot after the other. And escalators do the same thing for me.
Yeah, I had a friend in university that got his shoelace stuck in the escalator, like actually stuck, and he fell and he got really hurt too. He was near the bottom, but his shoelace wound in. And then the girl in Montreal that had her scarf, and she died as a result. Her scarf got welded into the little opening there, and it hauled on her scarf and hair and choked her. I'm terrified of them. So this was a reversed escalator that injured 18 people.
When I watched that video today, I actually noticed a client of ours at the salon. She's originally from Boston, and she had made a comment that something like that had happened at the Boston Mall.
Yeah, no, it happens.
So, you know, very
It's
scary.
a machine, right?
Yeah.
And machines can go.
It's like an exhibition ride. I'm always terrified.
I wanted you to bring up the little story you were telling us about the statues in the beginning.
I
find it very, very interesting. I think our viewers would like to.
Well, I was fascinated by the story myself. So it was on CBC this morning, and so very famous statue, bronze statue in New York City is the statue of the bull on Wall Street, and it's like, you know, tons. It's huge, and it was put there in 1987, just after the stock market crash, as a symbol of strength, that, you know, America would rise again and would recover, and you know, and that they were strong like bull kind of idea. But just before International Women's Day on March 8th. A statue of a little girl, and it's called the Fearless Girl, appeared in front of the bull, and it was meant as a kind of a, you know, women are standing for themselves kind of idea, but it's real. There's a controversy now because it's changed the meaning of the bull.
The bull that's sitting
right.
there.
So it's changed the meaning from, you know, America's strength and resilience to a girl, a fearless girl, standing up to, you know, Wall Street and men and power.
Right.
Yeah, a male dominated.
Yeah.
She's standing with her hands on her
She
hips.
is. She's just like, you know, Supergirl. She's like, look at me. And now it's become a tourist attraction all in itself, like the bull always was. But
because the two of them are together.
Right. Yeah. She's standing right in front of him.
I like it.
You know, and I think it's. They're saying now, do we remove her? She was supposed to be removed on April 2nd.
Leave her there.
She was supposed to, you know, but the artist that designed the bull is very upset.
Well, we want our viewers to actually check in with us and tell us what you think about the little girl being moved. Should she stay there? Should she not?
I think she should
I
stay.
personally think where she's standing, changing the meaning of the bull, yes, maybe she should be moved. I don't think she should be removed completely. But we've got more Have a Chat coming up after the break. We have Darla O'Kane joining us, who's a social worker here for addictions at the Region 7 Miramichi Hospital. So don't go away. We have more Have a Chat right after the break. And we're back with more Have a Chat. Up next, we have joining us Darla O'Kane. Welcome, Darla.
Hey, Darla.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Nice to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
Yes, we are. We have like 1,000 questions, I'm pretty sure, for you. But you're a social worker for addictions at Region 7 Miramichi Hospital. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself first before we get into that discussion?
Yeah, okay. I guess they say we're a product of our environment, so I think I grew up from a very young age being taught to help people.
Good.
Yeah, we didn't have much, but I was always taught to help others. So long story short, I just always decided that I wanted to go into the helping field. I worked first as a paraprofessional, as a family support worker, which was what was called Family and Community Services quite a long time ago.
Okay.
Then I started to study later on in life with being married in a family, and I did degrees in psychology and social work, and taught school for a little while as a substitute teacher.
That's always an adventure, isn't it?
That was an adventure.
That's definitely
Because I did
eye-opening.
the same for a little while. I did the same.
That was an adventure for sure. Subsequently, I went on to work. I worked for 18 years actually in a First Nations community, Eel Ground
Nice.
First Nation, Natawaneg in Mi'kmaq, and really, really enjoyed that there. And then I went with Horizon, and I've been with Horizon for about 9 years now. Yeah, so I work in two capacities actually.
Okay.
I work with the Mental Health Addictions Clinic as a clinician there, providing therapy and outpatient counseling to people. I do primarily addictions.
Yes.
And then I do some more casual work at the hospital, primarily in the emergency department, just doing pre-assessments for people that come in with addictions or mental health issues or other issues as well.
Yes.
So,
Unfortunately, these issues and these subjects feel like not necessarily just in Miramichi, but they seem to be on the climb,
Oh, yes.
on the rise for sure. So I'm under the impression you're very busy at your job.
yes, yes, we are very busy for sure, and especially with addictions. There are addictions with, we treat people with addictions to substances and/or behavioral addictions as well, and they work on the brain actually the same way. So
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yes, yes, they do.
So, but you must see, because I used to be the president of the Schizophrenia Society here in Miramichi, and we talked so often about the fact that those with mental health issues tend to self-medicate with, you know, substance abuse, right? So you must see a lot of related cases in that way.
We actually do, and the wonderful thing about our services is a few years ago we became amalgamated. So it's that's why you're hearing addictions and mental health services. And the wonderful thing about that is that research shows that many people with mental health issues will have addictions issues and vice versa. Those with addictions issues may have mental health issues.
Exactly.
So it's wonderful to be able to work together. We're a multidisciplinary team at the clinic, and we can refer back and forth, which really provides a great service.
So touching on referrals, if I was a person that knew and was willing to admit that I had an abuse, like you know, towards alcohol, if I was substance abuse towards anything, what are my steps then? If I want to come forward and say I need help.
Okay. Well, actually, the first step would be to call the clinic. And go from there. Subsequent to that, you would be asked a few questions, called in. Within 3 days, I believe that it's working very well, that the person would be called in for what's known as an intake appointment. And that's just basically asking a bunch of preliminary questions to find out what the problem is. It's a very basic interview. Then the person, if they would like, would be assigned to a clinician. There would be a little bit of a wait time. We've been doing very, very well with our wait list. And then they would be assigned a clinician to deal with whatever problems that they would have.
What if I was a family member there was someone within the family with a severe problem? Can I call there as well and get information on what's recommended that I can do to guide them to that direction, or what we as family members can do to help them?
You most certainly can, and I'm really glad that you asked that question, because we do provide this service. We provide counseling information for loved ones, for family members, and I see several family members from time to time, and sometimes they just don't know what to do. And they just need to have some guidance, some information. I've seen people for one session, and a couple of people I've seen for 5 or 6 months to continue on. So basically, loved ones they just need some guidance as to what to do.
I would think that, because I like the person with the addiction might take a while before, because that's a big step for them to say, you know what, I have a problem and I want to have help. But years can go by, months and years before that happens. And the family, I would like to think that would be the first thing I would do, is how do I speak to my family member that's suffering that, so that I don't make the issue worse and guide them towards getting help themselves. Because if they call in, of course, the odds of them getting better are greater than if they feel forced to seek
absolutely.
recovery, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it's great if the person does call in themselves. But for outpatient counseling, with our clinicians, anybody can refer. So the person that has a problem themselves can, or a family member or another professional. Now, if we're talking about inpatient addictions, that's another part of our addiction services as well. And that is basically known as detox. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with that.
More people would know to call it that.
Exactly, exactly. And if they would like to have treatment, which means going into a hospital setting under a doctor's and medical care, then it would be preferable preferable that they would call in themselves, because the person that's taking the information, the medical staff, would get a more accurate picture of what is going on than if a family member would call. So
Exactly.
that would be the ideal situation there.
How many beds, Darla, would they allow in the hospital for these patients?
There are 10 beds at addiction, inpatient addictions. Yes.
And
So
what
that
age
doesn't
group?
seem like enough.
Like how
No, 10
young
doesn't
can you
seem
be to be involved with this program that you deal with? Like, do you have a youth and adult program?
Well, yes, it's on an individual basis in terms of youth.
Okay.
It would have to be assessed to see exactly what would be the best service for them, and then of course there's no age limit. There's no age limit
Is
at
the
all.
length of the treatment different according to
It
the
would-
issue?
Exactly, and
Okay.
that the medical staff would assess that there as to the substance, the method of use, the length of use, and those types of things. So, very excellent medical staff there assessing those things.
What are the, oh, I'm sorry, just what are the current trends right at the moment with addictions? Is there anything new or
Yeah.
different?
Number
or-
one addiction would be still alcohol, or
You're absolutely right,
It
Judy.
is.
Really?
You
Right.
are absolutely right.
Yeah.
We see alcohol is at the top of the list in inpatient
Still, eh?
addictions
Yeah.
and in outpatient counseling. We see more people. Now we're seeing a lot of what's known as polysubstance use, and basically what that is, it's a whole cocktail of different types of drugs, which could be cocaine,
crystal meth.
crystal meth,
Heroin.
any types of
Scary.
opiates.
Are you seeing a lot of the hard drugs here?
Yes, there are some hard
Wow.
drugs here.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's very
for
scary.
sure.
That's scary. Gives
And
me
the
goosebumps
feels.
for her to say yes to
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yes, yes.
No, what are your thoughts when we were talking earlier in the quick chat portion about pot being legalized? Do you think that is going to affect things? Because alcohol is legalized, right? And it's the number one addiction,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not saying pot's
No,
great.
no, no, no.
I'm
No,
not
no,
saying pot's
no,
great.
no.
I'm just
But
saying if we can
would
legalize
that-
it, then we can regulate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I worry that that would make things even more hectic at your end.
Yes. Many of my clients tell me that marijuana, cannabis, can be a trigger toward using other drugs. So that's about all I would
That's
say
your
about
guess.
that.
Yes.
That's been my
Yeah.
experience with
Okay.
clients that
That they need to take
I
it up
do.
a notch after they're here with the
Well,
milder ones.
and they call it a gateway drug for a reason.
Oh, is
right?
it? Yeah. Yeah.
There's such a thing you hear about intractable alcoholics. You know that they just they're alcoholics and then they go through treatment at a rehab facility and then they get back in their home and they drink again and they just cannot seem to stop drinking.
Yes.
It's called intractable alcoholism, isn't
Yes.
it?
Well, that's a new term for me. Actually, it's basically what you're talking about is relapse. And believe it or not, relapse is part of recovery. And yes, the chances of a person relapsing are very, very high. I like to, when I'm working with people, I like to talk about addiction the same way that I would talk about diabetes. And that is, there is no cure for diabetes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there is no cure for addiction. They're very, very similar. If you look after your needs, if you have diabetes, you can live a long and productive life. And if you look after your needs, if you have an addiction, you can have a very long and productive life as well.
Good to hear that.
Yes. What a lot. I'm sorry.
But it must be very difficult though to have the job you have, because there would be such wonderful success stories that you see and that you get to hear about and see the progress that they've made in their lives. And then there must be the other, which is the heartbreak where they relapse and continue to struggle.
Yeah.
It would seem to me that it would take someone very strong like yourself to work in a field like that.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. It is my niche. It is something that I've been from a very young age, been interested in. My family, there were many problems with addictions in my family, and I think I knew what Al-Anon, and we'll probably talk about those support groups after, and Alcoholics Anonymous were before I knew what geography was.
Imagine.
Yes.
I'm exaggerating for a fact there.
Right area of work.
But yeah, so the thing is, I have no way of taking the cravings away. I can help people with a recovery plan, but the cravings will always be there. And I always go back to the diabetic example. If you're diabetic, for example, you're always going to have a craving for, example, sugar.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
not
Yes.
going away.
No.
Right.
If you have a problem with an addiction and it's a substance, and we'll use alcohol since you mentioned that, you will probably always have a craving for it.
Yeah.
So I do a little technique when I'm working with people on, let's work on reducing the relapse time. Since we already know that if you have an addiction, the chances of slip or relapse are very, very high.
Okay.
The same as if you have diabetes, the chances of having the piece of chocolate cake that you're not supposed to have
Yes,
are
you're
very,
right.
very
Yeah,
high.
that's right. Yeah.
So I say, let's work on reducing the relapse time. So, for example, if you have the piece of chocolate cake, stop before you eat the whole cake.
Right. Yes.
If you have a slip with your alcohol, with your drugs or whatever, go to bed, get up in the morning, say, this is a new day.
Try
I'm
all over
going
again.
to start over.
Yeah.
Start over.
My question is, for example, if I was a 25-year-old woman with an addiction to alcohol living on my own, and I've gone through the treatment process, I've been back in my apartment, I'm a single person living without support, do you have support groups in place?
Oh, we most absolutely do. There are several community supports, and as I mentioned, there is Al-Anon for the. I guess specifically, you were talking about the person with the addiction problem, so that would be Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous for people with drug problems with drugs. We also have a program at the hospital in the inpatient addictions unit, detox, called the ROAD program, Remaining Off Addictions and Dependencies.
Oh, that's
And
good.
the inpatients take part, but people can also come from outside. So what we would do, in answer to your question, Judy, what we would do is part of the recovery plan for the person with the problem would definitely include ongoing, for example, if I were seeing them, there would be ongoing counseling, therapy with me for maintenance, and also having a recovery plan that would include support groups. As well, part of my job is to do assessments and referrals to rehabilitation programs, inpatient rehabilitation programs known as rehab or recovery programs. So as part of Horizon, we do assessments and referrals to two. One would be in Campbellton at the Addictions Services in Campbellton, and the other one would be in Ridgewood in St. John.
I've heard
So
a
it
lot
would be
about
Ridgewood
those.
Addiction
Yeah.
Services. So we do the assessments and referrals for those facilities, and we have an excellent relationship with them, and it's very, very good, and it provides seamless.
So their treatments
program.
go beyond the 30 days or the 6 weeks. Like once they've gone through the treatment and they're back home again, you maintain contact and call and set up appointments to
yes.
check in on them and hold them accountable in a way. I can't imagine just going home and going, you're on
especially
your
by
own.
your own,
You know what I
exactly. There's a
mean?
bottle somewhere in your house, and you're tempted with that vodka to say, "I want to drink," and there's no
Yes.
one, your mother, your boyfriend,
No.
nobody else to say,
Or you
"Don't."
had a bad day at work
Well, what's
and
to stop you? You're so vulnerable when
Yes.
you're living alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
You're
would
gonna
think
break
so,
down.
especially after coming fresh out of treatment.
Very good point. Actually, the most vulnerable time for a person
it?
with addictions is the
right
week after completing
Because you're having
treatment.
to figure out on your own how you're going to live,
Absolutely.
how to cope, how to live that.
Absolutely. And we definitely discuss that and have a plan in place. And when I have a person that's completed rehab, I usually try to set up an appointment in that next week, and that works out. That works very, very, very well.
So,
they
Darla,
don't
when
feel
you
alone.
have people come in that are affected, say, under the influence of a drug, a street drug, their personality is going to be very unusual presentation. It's not going to be that they're perhaps sober when they see you. So you must have to deal with that as well as try to get the addiction under control. They're maybe volatile personality at the time, and they're there, but they're not really with you. Do you know what I'm saying? Their mind's not in the right place.
Most of the time when they present, the detox department at the hospital would see that more than I would. Most of the time when they present to me to talk, they usually are not under the influence moments,
Good.
or not having taken a lot of the substance.
They're
Right.
in that moment.
You can
Yeah.
talk to them
They're ready.
reasonably.
They're ready for
Yes,
that next step.
normally
Exactly.
that would
well,
happen.
we've
so.
got 1 minute to break. I just want to touch base on how to get a hold of you or the center itself. We want to let our viewer know.
Okay.
There's help out there.
Yeah, there's help out
Yes.
there. So you have a Facebook page, a website, all those things, or no?
Yeah, well,
Yes?
Horizon definitely does.
Okay.
Can access that. The number is very easy to our clinic, and that
Okay.
is 778-6111. I am not the only clinician. We're all known as clinicians there. I do most. Probably my caseload is probably 95% of addictions because it's what I really love. It's what I'm very
Huge
passionate
caseload.
about. And
We want to thank you so much
yeah.
for joining
Very
us today,
interesting.
and it was very interesting letting us all know what you do, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll
Thanks
see you
very
again.
much.
We'll be
Thank you
back
so
right
much.
after the break.
thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. We've got more great show coming up. Our next guests have just joined us. We have Barb McLaughlin and Michelle Tobin-Forgrave joining us now. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
be-
joining us this afternoon.
Nice to be here.
We're
Thank
so
you.
glad to have you both. and Judy and I know you both very well.
Yes.
Judy and I know you both very
Yes.
well. But
I think they know my name before I knew
Yeah,
their
I do.
name.
Yeah, I do.
Definitely,
Yes,
definitely.
we
So
did.
tell us a little bit about yourselves first.
Well, first of all, I'm from Miramichi. I've lived here all my life. I'm married to John McLaughlin. I have 4 sons, Michael, Mark, Andrew, and John.
Nice.
And
or they
and
call your husband Jake too.
They call him Jake. Yes,
Yes.
they do. Everybody calls him Jake but me.
Yes.
John, yeah, for sure. And yes, so I've been here all my life, and
Good.
I try to keep busy in my community.
And you have been.
You do.
So I have.
You do keep very busy in your
Yes, I
community.
do keep busy in my community.
And Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm not from Miramichi. I'm from Riverview originally, and I've been here for it'll be 17 years in June.
You're adopted.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Miramichi.
adopted
I was like,
Miramichi. Yeah,
You're
so,
over the, you're
yeah.
good.
So my
My
husband,
neighborhood.
yes, I'm in Judy's neighborhood.
Yes.
My husband is Kevin Forgrave from Chatham, and we met in university, and
He's a great guy.
yeah, he is.
So I
And,
graduated with her husband, and I
Okay.
graduated with her son.
Oh, my.
Wow.
yeah, and
right.
Kevin and I have 2 kids, so 2 daughters.
Yeah, beautiful daughters.
Also
you-
very active
They
in your
are.
community.
Yes.
Yes. We have you guys on today to talk to us about something very, very special that's coming up.
Yes.
That's happening at the St. Michael's Basilica this Good Friday,
Yes.
right? Not that this
14th.
Friday, but yes,
14th.
exactly, for Easter, and it is called the Living Stations.
It is.
So
And
tell
it's
us.
fabulous. I have
know.
to say it's fabulous.
It is.
Is it exactly what it sounds like to me? They're living stations
Yeah.
of.
Of the cross. It's the
Yeah.
Stations of the Cross.
Yes.
Okay.
And what it is it's a still reenactment, almost a still reenactment. What
Okay.
is the story? It begins with the Last Supper. We do the Garden of Gethsemane, and then it just goes right into the stations. So we do the 14 stations
Perfect.
with the resurrection. It's very beautiful. It's we work with adults now. I work with adults, which is a whole different process
Right.
than when I worked with the high school youth in the 90s.
So we're actually seeing on screen there
Yes.
now
Yes.
a little bit
Inside.
about that's actually St. Michael's Basilica.
So
It is.
beautiful.
So
it
these
is.
living stations, will they be set up inside the St. Michael's Church?
It's what it is. It's all done on the sanctuary.
They're people.
Oh, it is.
They're
It's
people.
All done on the sanctuary. Yes, and
Okay.
we have 17 of cast, and it's all done right on the sanctuary. We have staging made that we had done. James M. Hill was so generous to do some staging for us,
Right.
and all of that. So everybody, doesn't matter where you sit, you can see
Right.
everything, which is really nice. And we have 1 hour of music from 6:30 to 7:30, and then that just flows. It's the timing. It's just almost, you don't even see it coming. It just flows right into the stations, and it's a beautiful experience for anyone to start their Easter.
Any denomination.
Any
Well,
denomination.
yeah, and that's the other
That's
thing that we wanted
beautiful.
to
all
faiths.
nation,
Yeah.
all faiths, and in fact, this year we have the United Church with Charlene McGuire, Reverend Charlene McGuire. She has changed her service to the morning, so her parish and also herself can be there with us on Friday night
That
because
was
she's heard
very
so much about.
special.
Very, very special for Charlene to do that. So
They have
we're
a
really
huge church
thrilled with
group as
that.
well.
So Michelle, how'd you get involved?
Barb picked me out at a party, and she said,
As you're
Apparently,
not
Miramichi,
Yeah.
that never
And
happened.
she said, yeah, and she said, I have an idea. Would you like to get involved? And I was like, sure, okay. And I didn't really know what she had done in the past with her high school group or whatever. So anyway, I agreed, and it was the most amazing experience. So I'm starting, this is going to be my 5th year in participating. So I've been there since the beginning with Barb in this group. And
So it's 5 years already.
yeah,
It
and
is.
it's
This
just
is our
been
5th year.
an unbelievable experience.
So I'm a little humbled and embarrassed to say that last year was the first year I went, but I sat in the second row and cried like a baby
Oh, you guys.
because it was
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel
Yeah.
so bad because the people in front of me were crying and the people
You
behind
would
me
love
Right.
it. It's
were
an
crying.
I know,
So
I'm trying to picture it. Is
But
there
there's-
speaking parts? Is it
No.
like a play? So there's not.
That's
There's
the
music.
most beautiful part of it. I'll just
Okay.
tell you a little story
Okay.
so you'll understand.
Okay.
Somebody was telling me the other day about their friend coming last year, and she said when she was coming, her friend was saying, "You don't see the readers. We have 2 readers, Judy and Billy, which is wonderful.
Okay.
So you don't see the readers, you only see the stations being done
stations.
south."
Okay.
So she said, "I can't imagine not seeing this, and being
Okay.
set up this way." So she said when everything started to change and flow, and they came in to do the Last Supper, and there wasn't a sound, and she said all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, came this voice. She said I started to cry.
My voice.
She said, "Yep, your voice.
It would make
Your
anybody
voice
cry.
is the voice of an angel."
Anybody
Start calling you Barbara Walters.
But she
Exactly.
said, and I never stopped after. Like she
I
just said,
know.
it was so moved and it was so
It
incredible
is.
the way
Yeah.
it just flowed that it was
Oh,
so.
you're kidding.
And we've had people travel from like Niagara Falls last year all the way here
Wow.
to see.
Yes.
Yes, they did all
Yeah.
the way from
Drove
there
here.
just to be a part of that with us. And so it's very, very moving. I've never really before seen anything like it.
No.
And so when
No.
this was put together, it took me a year before I even mentioned doing it because I did it years ago with the children. I did the music for 1 year. I put the music together and it took me a year.
oh wow.
And after I was listening to the music one day in particular, when I had it all figured out, then I thought, okay, now I can go forward and do the stations. It didn't work the other way around.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I had to have that in order
Music
to be able
is
to
very,
move very,
very
Yeah.
important.
Vital.
very
Yeah.
vital. And
It's
this
powerful.
it is powerful
just it.
music. We play an hour of music before the stations even start, and it just flows.
Yeah. And
Shell's had
the-
beautiful experience.
the music along with the lighting, because the lights change depending on what we're doing, and the whole thing together is just amazing. And you said about you crying. So the first year I participated, and there I know the story. We know what
you do.
we know what
We all know the
happens.
story.
Yeah, we know we know what happens.
in the end.
Yeah. And there we were with rehearsals and everything all of the time. So we knew what was going to happen and how it was all going to play out. And there I was on the stage, literally weeping, weeping. And that was my first year. So I thought the second year, I won't do it this year. And I have cried every single year.
Yeah.
And I'm up there, like literally, it's there's such an impact on your heart. It's unbelievable. And my daughter every year says to me, "Mom, why do you cry? You know what's going to happen."
But it's harder for me as a reader. I can't
Yeah.
cry while I'm
Yeah.
reading.
It's,
I put it all out after.
It's more of like an uplifting cry
It
in a
is-
sense.
Oh, it
You
is.
know what I mean? It's,
It's
not
so
as
joyful.
sad.
No, it's not.
It's
No,
so
it's you're
It's
totally moved.
inspirational.
You're
Yeah.
totally moved by it
Totally.
because I mean we all know
Totally.
the story.
I encourage everybody and anybody to go
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that experience
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
Friday, the Living
Yeah.
Stations.
And I've
an
always,
experience.
I'd like to think that I've always been a very good Catholic, and I always went to Mass, and, and I prayed and I was faithful. But something happened that first year, even, there's the rehearsal and everything, but at the end,
Actual
when
performance.
Jesus was resurrected, something happened in me that I just,
Something real.
Changed your life.
it did
Real.
change my life. And after
your
that
life.
point, I became much more involved in the church. And I am now a lector at church. I read all the time. I've been teaching catechism for 4 years.
You were on parish council.
I was
you were
on
the
parish
president.
council for a couple of years. I'm on the CWL. It's brought me a whole lot closer to Jesus in my life. Like
that
it's
amazing?
just
Yeah,
it is
but
just
it is.
unbelievable.
Barb,
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
had changes over the years. You've had casts that have been in place, and then you've changed with
Yes,
new members.
yes,
It's evolved.
yes, yeah, we do, and we do try to change every couple of years.
Okay.
When we started out, I would like to have, or my thought was to change every 2 years, but it's a lot of work and a lot of learning as you go as well. So it didn't change after 2 years, more like 4. There were some people that we did change and bring new people on. We want to keep it evolving. We never change full cast because you don't want to start over that way
No,
again.
with training and
But yeah, and but we did change a couple of every year, which made a good thing. So that way, more people will get involved. And also, that being said, it's not easy to get people to do this. Like we think
It's a
sometimes-
commitment. It's a commitment.
It's a commitment, and but it's very. It was just so rewarding. Like
Rewarding.
Michelle would say, this has been really rewarding, extremely rewarding for me, because I see them. Like I see them, and I hear the reactions, and I hear, and I get at the end of the year the cards that I get in the mail from people who have been there
and an
have
experience.
and
yeah.
experiences. But I'll tell you what it is too. It's such a feeling that you, and we never call it a play because it's not. It's the reenactment of the Stations of the Cross and the Resurrection, which is absolutely amazing. And the people that are part of it, like Michelle, they all feel the same way. You feel that presence, and it's vital because that presence is so real. Like you are really feeling the presence of Jesus when you're doing that station. There's no doubt about it.
You know, there's the sadness and there's the horror.
The
you know,
glory.
the glory
All of
and the
All of
awe and
it.
amazement. You know, at his resurrection. But you know, when you know, at one point we hear Jesus being nailed to the cross, and it is literally horrific.
Yeah.
You know, like you just really internalize everything when you're there.
you do.
It's it's so different from just like reading about it or listening to it. It's actually
Feeling
feeling
it.
it.
That's
And
right.
you
I
do.
would think even if there
And
was
you
a
do.
video made of it, I still don't think
No.
what
No.
you feel when you're actually
No.
sitting there would
That's
still
it.
be a greater
Yeah.
experience.
No.
And,
again.
and that's what
Oh, the presence is absolute necessity because we have been asked to have
The
that
video.
tape.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't think you'll ever see it done because
Right.
what is important is that your presence has got
Speaks
to
for
be
itself.
there.
The
It
people-
speaks for itself.
Quietness.
But I love the fact too, though, that
People.
it is multi-faith, right?
Me
It's not,
too.
it's not
Yeah.
just
For
for us
sure.
No.
Catholics,
No.
right? Like, you know, as
No, we've had
No,
many
that's just-
different
Yeah.
faiths come
let's-
and everybody's invited.
Yeah.
It's about all the churches coming together
That's
and
right.
doing that
That's
because
right.
it's very specially done.
Now you were talking about it took a year for the music part. Let's talk about the actors themselves. How early do you start putting this all together and they start practicing and they start, putting two and two together as far as all that goes? Because it's a big commitment, I'm guessing.
It is. In the beginning, the first couple of years, we really started early November.
Okay.
And of course, we went into March and April, and usually it's in April. And in the beginning that way, because the people that were there in the very beginning had to also gel and come together to
That's
work
right.
as a group. So that was very, very important. It wasn't a matter of just learning your part or your place, and because nobody speaks except your voices you hear with Judy and Billy behind the scenes. And so, but you also had to, when you're playing that part, and it's such a serene part, you really need to be able to reenact with the other people and know how and be comfortable. I had a lady tell me last year, I don't get to see a lot of it, I'm over on the sides, but the lady who was playing a part last year, when the women in the 8th station, when Jesus speaks to the women, and they're on one side, this girl was on the other side, and she said to me after, she said, I wish you had been behind me so you could have seen the reaction and the expression on the women's face watching Jesus talking to them
So
was
real.
just like
It just
so
feels
real.
real.
But it is. It is. It's like you're there. And she said, "I wished you could have seen that," because she said, "I just started to cry." So you know what it is. It's an incredible. A time. It's so profound. Really, it's profound.
Yeah.
And you put a lot into this aside from casting. You've put in costumes that are like
Costumes,
a lot of work.
I've had all them made. They're all done now.
And they're
Costumes
beautiful.
for it. Oh yeah.
That's a big job.
And I
to
don't
fit all
sew.
these people.
I don't sew, but
and-
anyway, I
and
got.
it's all-
But it's beautiful.
It's all volunteer, right?
Yes.
I
All
mean, it's
volunteer.
like all of you
We
that are.
do
Well,
get paid by a wonderful party.
Okay.
He
A
does.
wonderful dinner party that she hosts a couple
Gorgeous.
weeks after.
Yes.
Well,
She
on
really
Sunday.
There's
treats
a,
us
you
well.
know, there's
Yeah.
nothing compared to good food, right?
No.
Get it together. But
Exactly.
here, I mean, this is all
Yeah.
volunteer for you, Barb.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and has been
Oh,
for,
yeah.
for 5 years
Yep.
now,
Yep.
right?
It is.
That's quite amazing.
And it is nice. And when I do the dinner, and I do all the cooking, that's my thing to do, and I love to do it. And they come the following Sunday after Easter, and
And we don't behave as well.
and you don't behave as well. No, she
It's a very
doesn't.
different group of people. She's saying, who are these people that were so
They were so
serene?
good at church.
And now look at them.
Happens to all
look
of
at
us.
them.
Yeah.
But it is nice. It's my way of saying thank you
Ah.
to them for coming and doing this, because it's and they do it so well. The biggest thing about this is that they want to be there.
Yes.
Like
That's
all
right.
of you, like both of you here, like not, and you've said that so many times. They just want to be a part of it, and to want to be a part of something like this is the
Yes.
icing on the cake.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's
No,
a privilege.
that's
It
just
is
it.
a
So this
privilege
is
to do.
happening April 14th
April
on Good
14th,
Friday.
on Good
What time now would you?
The music starts at 6:30.
PM.
And the stations start at 7:30. And the hour of music, like if you come early and you're sitting there, you can talk to people
Or
or
pray.
just socialize
Right.
or pray. Have your quiet time or socialize a bit
So
or
you
whatever.
can arrive
But your
anytime between that
music,
6:30
yes,
and
absolutely.
7:30.
People arrive
Okay.
at 6:30. We've had
Okay.
them come at 6:30.
Because they want a good seat.
They
Yeah.
want a good seat, but also the music. And the music is very, very calming,
Is it?
very, very beautiful. So it's
There's a
people-
choir singing. Is that
No.
what it is? No,
Nope.
it is actual music.
No, the
playing?
only live singing we have is we have a lady that sings at the 4th station and at the 8th station.
Live singer.
Live, and
Oh,
Rose
okay.
Stewart, and she's
Beautiful.
absolutely
Amazing.
stunning.
Gives you goosebumps.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you
Good
can't
thing.
miss St. Michael's Basilica. Everybody
No.
knows where that is in Miramichi
It
East.
is,
It
it is.
stands and
Definitely.
towers
Yeah.
over a city.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a goodwill
exactly.
offering at the door.
It's a goodwill offering at the door, and usually we have young children. Michelle's daughters, they do that as well, and some of the other younger children, they have baskets and a goodwill offering, and
Yeah.
so that's really nice as
Well,
well.
we want to
because
thank
it
you
is
so much,
well,
Barb and Michelle, for coming on
welcome.
today and telling
Very
us all about
welcome.
this,
Thank you
and
for
with your
having us.
involvement for putting this on
Yeah.
and on all the work that you do,
Yeah.
and to the actors and everything.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something to do with your family this Easter,
Yeah.
you should definitely check it out. Scoot down to St. Michael's Basilica.
Yeah.
At I want to say Chatham because I can never
Say
remember if I'm
Chatham.
east or west. I
Chatham.
never know if I'm at
Miramichi
east or
East.
in
It is, it is.
Exactly, I'm awful.
It is.
Definitely check it out. I think that's something that I might just
Oh, yes.
have to
Oh,
take
we
in
hope
this
to come,
year.
Audrey.
Definitely,
No,
definitely.
absolutely.
Bring your children.
Bring
And
the children down.
It's growing. The numbers are
Exactly.
growing.
And
Thanks for
children
joining
love
us. Again, thank you for watching us here
Thank
at
you
Have a
for
Chat.
having
We'll
us.
see you all again next week. Thanks. Bye for now.